All these school shootings going on today. Sometimes you can be quick to judge without actually knowing a person's history. Turn on the news. I try to stay away from the news because with me knowing and understanding marketing and advertising and how the news is actually they make their gains and revenue based off of fear, their psychology behind that, you know. But yeah, a lot of the school shootings, it's a lot of that going on. Has time really changed, or has it always been like this? Someone once told me, I had a friend that had told me a few years ago, she said, really in society nothing has changed. All this has been going on since the beginning of time. But the only difference now is that we have our camera phones. So we're able to gain access and broadcast a lot of the stuff that's going on. And I can agree with that. People back in the day were a lot of times more private, more quiet. The news had to do things differently because they didn't have advanced technology. So I understand that statement. But yeah, a lot of these school shootings, it's a lot of it going on, and it's just, it makes you, what it does, it makes you wonder the person's background, their struggle, what they had to face day to day. Now you got some of them, it's been known in the past that some mass shootings, the shooter sometimes do that for publicity purposes. You actually have shooters that have done stuff like that to make a name for themselves and not even care about rotting in jail for the rest of their life. They don't care. Because for many of them, they never had notoriety, knew they would never have it, and yet wanted to have something to prove, to feel powerful, to be observed by the world and viewed, But when I hear about stuff like that, I try not to make a judgment. Like usually somebody would do a school shooting or do a public shooting. I actually worked at a job where that happened, at a corporation where that happened before I started working there. A guy came, he was working there, and they ended up letting him go, like firing him or whatnot, and he came back, walked past the secretary, walked past security and all them, and just got to shooting up the place because he was so pissed that they let him go. But going back to what I was saying, you have to question people's past. That's with anything. You can't just say, oh, I mean, I understand that people have actually died, like the way that they died. That's a very tragic loss. It is. It's a loss, and you feel sympathy for that family that they have to grieve in the way that they have to grieve. But also for that shooter, not trying to feel any sympathy for him, but there was something wrong there. And I'm sure people in his family saw it years before it actually led up to that shooting. Unless he was good at hiding it. Some people are good at hiding certain things. Remember that sniper that was out? Was that deep Washington, D.C.? I can't even remember where that was at. But I remember that sniper. That was a weird story. Sometimes when stuff like that happens, it's so weird and so random. It's so weird and so random. And for me, I like that every video I always talk about questioning. But people become so consumed in society with consuming stuff that they just use their animal instinct to just place a judgment on someone and not even know them. What is some of these mass murders, like the The last one, I'm going to have to check more into that because I don't usually be close to news outlets. I have not read too much information on him. But and one down in Florida. But if you don't know someone, why make a quick judgment? A shooter could have been being molested for years, their whole childhood. They could have started being molested at 2 years old up until the age of 14, 15. They could have been molested for that long. And yet they never once came out and told any family. They never probably once came out and told their mom or their dad what was going on. And they held that in. And it growed and it festered like things do. And then over time, their anger starts to fester. And they start to have small outbursts. And then their family can't understand, why is little Johnny having crazy outbursts randomly? He never did that before, so what is the issue? Then they want to say, oh, it's got to be ADHD. He's 15. He wasn't doing this at 7 years old. It must be ADHD. Maybe it's him eating too much sugar, and yet he don't eat a lot of sugar. They don't think once to ever question, has anyone touched you? Has anyone been fondling you? Has anyone been doing certain things to you that's inappropriate that they shouldn't be doing? The family oftentimes look at the behavior and bypass the behavior as if it's not there. That psychology of, if I see someone acting certain ways or acting out or acting just different, there must be something going on. They're either overthinking and overanalyzing life itself, or they're overanalyzing some situation, or something else is going on in the present moment that they don't discuss and they don't share, or something has happened in their past. I had a discussion with someone because this person likes to judge everything and everyone without knowing any of the people. You can say, oh, they got on green shoes, and they'll say, oh, they're ugly. Just, they have a very closed mind. And I had to let them know, once again, a history. Your history is your blueprint into your future. It is. It actually plays a part in your future. It actually leads and guides you to your future. Your history could either, as you're going along, your history could either help you to become stagnant and not grow and change, or your history could actually help propel you, depending on the figures you had in your life, depending on the people that was in your life that talked to you, that told you what you can be and what you can become. History is everything. Why do you think we got channels like the History Channel? Why do you think we got channels like the Discovery Channel? Why do you think history is one of the number one things you're taught in school? Not just once, but over and over. They want history to be ingrained in your memory. Because 80 years from now, what we live in today will be in history books. So with some of these kids doing all type of shooting, I can't stamp that with judgment, because I don't know myself and what I've been through and what I came through, and some of the stuff I almost didn't survive through because it just was so bad and it was just so painful. Who am I to look at somebody that shot up a school and say, oh, I hate you. How am I going to hate you and I don't even know you? I don't know what's behind that. It could have been that shooter or anyone. It could be they grew up in a home where their father was beating on their mom every single day. No one knows. It's not an excuse. No, it's not. But at the same time, take some time to try to find out about people. Get to know people. Allow people to talk without a filter. Because sometimes even the people you meet in everyday life, many of them have been prejudged and people don't listen to them and they're not heard. And what they do is they walk around and they hate the world. They hate everyone around them. They show it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the end result is the shooting up of a school. Basically, all I'm saying is something led up to that. You don't get from point A and jump to point Z, where point A is the shooter. But before he became the shooter, he was just an average, everyday person, whether female, male, whatever. And then he jumped the Z. That does not happen. There's footsteps that lead up to that. There's life experiences that leads up to that. There's poor treatment by others towards him that leads up to that. There is something that leads up to that. It could be a psychological issue that leads up to that. Something has led up to that. I think in society, because so much we see and take in, we don't use critical thinking skills. When you don't use critical thinking skills and your brain is just a blob, you just point fingers and pinpoint and judge everything. And yet at the end of the day, it makes you look foolish because you don't know the calculation behind it. Everything, every life has a calculation behind it. You just don't know it. And you haven't seen it because you haven't questioned enough. And you haven't sought out information for yourself. Why would I call all this foolish? I mean, a shooting is a tragedy. It is. And you feel sorry once again for people that have died. But on the other side of that, what did some of these people live through? They had to have lived through some type of trauma. Something is not right there. Even if it was psychological, it could have been abuse going on. Anything could be going on in a person's mind. It has to, in order for you to carry out a mass shooting and kill people. That almost seems like a form of hatred in itself. And it stems from somewhere. What abuse occurred that is untold. So yeah. Instead of judging many of these people, start to question the why. Start to question the psychology behind it. Because psychology is there. You know what I'm saying? The family that is in grieving, they might have to go see a psychologist. Behind all this is psychology. It's more to it. It's all about calculations and critical thinking. It just is what it is. Because stupid people sit and judge other people and yet know nothing. How could you not know anything and judge? It's cheap is what it is. It's very cheap. I don't feel sympathy for any shooter because a life was lost and all of that. But at the same time, I'm not one to have a cheap brain and just pick a person apart when there's a story. So see, that whoever that shooter was, or any of them, sit behind walls of a jail cell and just rot away, and there they are with their thoughts. Those very same thoughts that they had before they shot and killed somebody. They're forced to sit with not only the thoughts of them killing someone, but now they're back to what they tried to escape or whatever. I feel a lot of these doctors that are put in position, I feel that many of them, because we live in an independent society, I feel many of them don't do their jobs thoroughly. They don't. Because see, once he's in jail, they might end up giving him a doctor, someone to talk to, therapist, whoever. And they're not going to get to the complete root of what was the cause of that. Why was his actions put forth like that? They don't dig into the deeper root. And I've had issues with doctors like that. You go to them and you say, doctor, there's a problem. And all they do is stand and ask you, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm not there to tell that person what to do, the doctor. I'm not there to guide the doctor. I'm there to seek some advice from the doctor. That is his and her role. And yet they don't provide that. So when many of them that have done tragic things to other people, it's going to be a situation still unresolved. Because remember, a mass murder, he needs to see somebody. He needs some type of counseling. He needs something to resolve his inner demons within, her inner demons within. That needs to be resolved. And if nobody is going to face the situation, and the doctor's not going to face himself and helping whatever is the inner demons, then you're just going to have a society full of people just out here randomly killing people. But they're killing people because there's more behind that. That story untold. There's more behind that. You just don't take it upon yourself tomorrow and say, look, I'm going to load a gun and go kill half the school children at a school or in a play yard. It does not happen. Something led up to it. But what was that thing that led up to it? What was it? You can't create nothing from nothing. Nothing is original. Everything comes from something. Once again, you cannot create something from nothing or nothing from nothing. All things have to be created from something, because life is a cycle. I believe in karma. Yes, I do. People have a question, do you believe in karma? Yes, what goes around always comes around. That's just the life cycle, and it's not to look for other people to suffer, no. But it is the way of the universe, the rhythm of the universe. So that's all I got to say about that. Any of these mass shooters, I don't know you. I don't know you. So why would I butcher and I stab you? That does not make sense. I need to know your story. I need you to tell me the truth of what happened in your childhood, leading up to your manhood, leading up to your womanhood. What was the steps that led up to you being the way that you are, the one to take it upon yourselves and actually go murder somebody that you don't know, who you have never made a connection with, who you never have talked to? What led to that? What led to that is the most vital missing piece. You actually feel sadness. For a killer to do something like that, you actually feel sadness because something somewhere in their life went wrong. It went wrong and was never repaired. And if it's psychological, say it's mental sickness or mental illness, you really feel like, man, they're a degenerate. You feel some type of sympathy because people that have mental issues or mental issues enough to go kill people, that type of sickness is, you know, that they shouldn't even be part of. They shouldn't even be a part of regular society. They need to be away in a cell somewhere or behind some type of closed doors and behind walls, not being able to roam free into society because they're dangerous. They could be dangerous to their own self and not know. There's chemical imbalance in that. So I can't judge that either, because that's a problem. That might be something they were born with. Remember, mental illness, stuff like that, they say oftentimes come from the father more so than from the mother. I can't judge that. I can't judge that. Unless I try to if I've been a part of a situation or something like that, is I'll judge. But if I'm not fixing the situation, I try not to judge. I wanna know what's that missing piece. What's that link? And I'm repeating myself because I'm trying to make it clarity. What's the cause? If that person is a killer and they have mental illness, what can I do to take it upon myself? That's what more people need to be doing. They need to say, what can I do? Not even with no mass murder. They need to be people out here that get judged in everyday life just walking up and down the street. Instead of you judging them, you need to maybe say, instead of wasting energy bashing them and talking about them, how about you say, what can I do to take it upon myself to help that person? Because remember, it's a waste of your time and your energy as well as a waste of theirs. It wastes their life away by you just sitting discussing them. What can you do to take it upon yourself to help them? It's a benefit of helping others in place of bashing them. These murderers on the news, the mass shooters, it's a benefit to society as a whole to take it upon yourself. If there's mental illness there and say it's been labeled, it's to bring awareness. I don't like to waste energy and I don't like to waste time on stupid stuff and not resolving stuff. So if any of these mass shooters or whatever got mental illness or alcoholic issues or whatever, I like to take it upon myself to spread awareness about what that issue is. Okay, that man is an alcoholic. Well, I put out on social media, this is what alcoholic is. Being an alcoholic is the disease. This is what it consists of. This is how you can get help. AA, going to AA meetings. That's how you resolve stuff like that. You don't just try to put yourself as part of something by just sitting bashing people. You try to pull information from what has happened and you spread awareness. Because you actually waste your life away sitting judging someone. So that's all I got to say about that is, instead of poking needles in a person's eye that had did something, if there's a disease behind that, if there's abuse behind it, spread awareness. Spread ways on how a person can get help. Because as you're spreading awareness, somebody close to you or somebody just on your friends or buddy list, they might be going through that, or they might know someone that's going through that, and they might need help, but they don't want to get help and seek help openly. That's why awareness is so important in place of judgment. That's all. Enjoy your day. May today be blissful and beautiful. And I'm gone.